sometimes it doesn't record the beginning. The lady in the picture, her name is Adara Sin, Arasyn. She was one of my friends from before Natalie was killed, and she was going to help me. But then she ended up with an abusive situation with her boyfriend. He went by Crow. His real name is Jason. And he beat her up and then tried to abscond out of state with her child. But she got back together with him. That happens often. You go back to what's familiar to you. She also forgot I exist. There's a lot of abuse that women give men, and the excuse is that other men did it to them. Oh, well, nobody stopped me when a man did that to me. So that's your excuse for looking the other way. Well, maybe if you don't want that happening to you again, and have people look away again, maybe you should care about the others in your community. The problem is your predator got away, and you're using that as an excuse to help another predator get away. You are spiting another victim because you didn't get your way. You say don't live in the past, and you spite the victim. A male is not allowed to talk about his abuse. And we're told we got to go to the back of the bus, aren't we? Every time something messed up happens, no accountability from the other side of the line. You don't want to recognize the harm that you commit against others. You don't want to recognize the damage for your husbands, your sons, your brothers, or your own dads. You don't stop to try to think of us as human beings. We got somebody getting on here typing about Mike Boudet. Well, here's what I think about Mike Boudet. A lot of this man-hating stuff and anti-hobo stuff that you guys spout at me, I got a lot of that kind of stuff out of people like Mike Boudet. His friend Josh, who worked for him, was taking my interview, was supposed to turn it into the police. They both knew that I was an at-risk adult, and they did everything they could to try to paint me as a horrible monster, and Tim Beeson as somehow magically the good guy. You get to see Natalie's texts on the cover of a lot of the videos that I made today. Stuff from Natalie Bollinger herself, where she's talking about how she thought she was in love with me, how she was infatuated with me. She was typing about, you remember how infatuated I was with you? No, I didn't have any fucking clue that she was infatuated with me. She didn't make it grossly obvious the way that Brianna Hernandez Cordona or Kristen Kepler did. So no, I had no fucking clue. Not until she typed that stuff at me. And she was a grown-ass adult by then. She also had told me some of that the day that she rescued me from committing suicide over abuse by my friends and family. Mike Boudet hates women. He also hates the homeless and the disabled. He's basically your modern equivalent of a Nazi. I had more than one person get a hold of me and warn me about Mike Boudet after it was already too late. His friend Josh promised me that he would record it in its entirety. He would turn it into the police so that they had that information, and that he would not release that information until after they caught Natalie's killer. Well, they weren't interested in that. Sure, they said they would, but they didn't keep their word. Instead, they took little bits and pieces of our conversation and intentionally rearranged them with the intent of making me out to be some sort of a fucking predatory monster. Asking for help doesn't make me a monster. Going to my friends for help doesn't make me a stalker, especially when I was trying to get help stopping abuse. I wasn't asking my friends to go harm these people. I wasn't asking my friends to make these people's lives a living hell. Matter of fact, the conversations between Joanna Taylor Smith and I, they show that, well, actually, they show a lot of things, but I gotta belch. I did go to my friends and family for help before Natalie died. Joanna Taylor Smith was letting me know that she would make their lives a living hell if I killed myself, and that's the reason I made the Michelle Brannick profile. Destroy my Facebook before killing myself. That way, there was no fuel to harm Natalie with, or Alicia with, or Maddie Boa with. I'd been begging for somebody to shoot me in the head for over a year. I told Tim Beeson that I'd even dig my own hole when he wanted to threaten to kill me, but when he wanted to threaten to kill my friends and family, no. That's not fucking okay, and I did try to get the police involved. Of course I fucking did. Now, as far as all these people who, their little piece of the story shows that I told the truth through all of it. It also shows that my predators took advantage of my disabilities, including disabilities that I don't have. I've got multiple malpractice suits that need to be pending, and I need help with. But more importantly than that, we need to talk about the civil and human rights which have been violated and the laws that have been violated by law enforcement, by judges, by public pretenders who will not do their job for a homeless person. Police who will not do their job for a homeless person. They will blow us off and talk over us and sell their own narrative over the top of what we're saying. And God bless America, right? Isn't that the proper response? God bless America. We're supposed to say, God bless America, no matter how fucked up things are. God bless America. Praise Jesus. You get to see how many Christians, half of them wanted to use Jesus as their excuse to pass judgment on me and threaten to kill me. When I spoke about how wrong that was, I got treated like I was threatening to kill people. A lot of people had a lot of great ideas on how to kill Leslie Snell, except for the fact that I'm not going to go for those ideas. It includes killing, and killing is wrong. Let's see what this person's typing now. It says, he typed, so you like him is what I'm hearing. No, I don't like him. Although, since you're on here, you're either being sarcastic or you're being a troll. If you're a troll, I'd just get rid of you off my channel. We got an uphill battle here, as males in the United States. We object to the abuses of people who also don't care about our rights. We're told that we need to give LGBT people the right of way. Why? Why do we owe it to somebody who wishes they were born different How many people have not felt that at least some point in their life, that they wish something was different? But I'm not going to pretend that just because I fight for the LGBT community means that there's nobody within the LGBT community who is predatory. And then there's the fact that predators, there's different types of predators. Gaslighting doesn't necessarily qualify as abuse against a man to many of you. You don't consider most forms of abuse, with the exception of sexual assault, to be abuse for some odd reason. It's okay for women to verbally abuse men and to physically harm men and to get their friends and family involved in destroying that man's life. But it's not okay for him to defend himself. It's not okay for him to protect himself. It's not okay for him to speak up. When it comes to the men that you date, you keep in mind that you dated them. You are the one who said yes. There's also a lot of women who seem to think that we owe it to them to give them everything. There's women who are rich who want to complain that, well, they can't date down. They can't be dating a broke guy. They got to date somebody who's rich, who's got it all already. If they're a millionaire, their man better be a millionaire. And of course, there was a segment about a woman who was pregnant. Sorry, not pregnant, but had kids and was a millionaire. And she was downing on men in a horrible way because they won't date her because, well, in reality, it's because she's got a shitty attitude. Her kids got very little to do with it. That doesn't mean they have nothing to do with it. But she was angry because she thought that because she was a millionaire that she's bringing her own to the table. No, you're also bringing your kids and your expectations. A lot of men can handle your kids just fine. They just can't handle your expectations. There's a lot of men now who are choosing not to date because your vagina is not worth it. As Chloe Roma said, even a beluga has a vagina. Chloe Roma, a lot of the stuff that she says I don't agree with, but some of the things that she said got me to thinking. There was a situation where she was trying to insinuate that a man who was run over, who may or may not have committed a crime, was not convicted of it. He just straight up ran over. But the lady who ran him over was a woman who claimed that he was molesting her daughter and she caught him red-handed. So I looked further into the story, and I don't know if it's the same story that Chloe Roma was posting up, but there was one up that I was reading about where the guy was clothed, the daughter was clothed, he wasn't in the same room, he still died. People said they could hear an argument, that it was over money. That doesn't sound like he was molesting a child. It sounds like they were arguing over cash. But the thing is that, what are you bringing to the table? What are you expecting from us? And what are you giving in return? If the only thing that you have to give in return is your vagina, keep in mind there's a lot of men like me who don't care about your vagina. There's a human being attached to that thing, and if that human being is going to disrespect themselves in that kind of a fashion, obviously they're not going to have any respect for me. A lot of men and women wanted to throw their poverty in my face, as if I had chosen their poverty for them. As if I was the reason they were impoverished. And then there's the ones who say, oh, well, I'll help you when I get everything all perfect and fine and dandy in my life. Well, nobody's going to get it all perfect and fine and dandy in their life. That's no excuse not to speak up about the wrongs of the world. When you're being assaulted, would you rather people just stand and watch and then pretend it didn't happen? Or would you rather somebody stepped in and said, hey, that's enough? Many of you are cowards. You'll make excuses for the other cowards. But you'll also talk about how manly you are. That's what shows that you're not. Just like many of these women, when they do fucked up shit, they want to hide behind their kids. Oh, but I'm a mother. That's right, you are. That doesn't show you're responsible. Rather, it shows you were irresponsible. And what are the chances that all of your parents, all of you, I want you to think to yourself, what are the chances of your parents being fucked up on drugs or alcohol when you were conceived? Many of you who are my age, or even half my age now, how many of you have kids because you were fucked up on drugs or alcohol and had unprotected sex like a responsible human being? Before you go blaming men,
Excuse me.
keep in mind sex is mutual.
Hey, I don't suppose one of y'all have a smoke, would you?
I could let you roll one.
Hey, I'll come roll, trust me.
Yes, sir.
If I have to roll it,
Come around to the other side.
I'm just grateful to get a smoke.
Yes, sir.
Hey. My name's Henry.
Henry?
Yeah.
My name is Sean. It's good to meet you, Henry.
Hey, I got a proposition for you.
What's that?
Well, I don't know what time Fred Meyer closes.
I can't go to Fred Meyer's.
Well, I can. What I was going to say was, if you told me about $3, I could buy you whatever you wanted to eat.
Well, I got food stamps, so
Oh,
I got enough food to last me the night, and if not, I go to Center Market. Here is...
I was just trying to come up with a beer, honestly.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I have an entrepreneurial spirit. You never know if you don't try.
Yes, sir. I get that.
I'd rather try and hear the word no than to not try and think, well,
Closed mouths don't get fed.
I got more than plenty of food stamps, trust me. Man, that's why I was trying to come up with about $3 for a beer.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Papers. So much for a cigarette.
Absolutely, positively. Oh,
There you go.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
You know where I can get me a beer?
I'd bet the liquor store.
Well, I just don't have
That was
money. That's
sarcasm.
why I was trying to sell me at least offer somebody something to buy to eat. Chance for a couple of bucks, but I just want to enjoy a spot. I can pull out my blanket and go to sleep. They ain't gonna say too much around here, are they? If
They might.
I mean, I'm not gonna make a mess or anything. I just need a dry spot where I can pull out my blanket.
Oh, dude, good luck on that. The dry part's the tough part.
Hey, thanks for the smoke.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you have a good one.
I'll at least pretend to. You as well. All right, so getting back to this. The expectations that are placed on men are atrocious, and they get many of us killed. And we're told we need to think one way by one group, and we have to think another way by another group. And if we don't agree with one side or the other, then we are to be harmed. We're told by women that we're not allowed to have an opinion on women's issues and women's rights. Women's issues like sexual assault. How many women in just the last years, how many educators in just the last year who were arrested, how many of those pedophiles were women? The majority of them. We've come to realize more often now that women are capable of being predatory. And there's people who are starting to take it more seriously, because there's many of these women who have literally bragged on about doing those things for years. Bragged about destroying men's lives. Bragged about making false accusations. There's even women who pretended like they were going to help me on this channel and on my Facebook, who were dating men that they later threw tantrums over and pretended that he was a horrible person. Why would you do that? One of them, she wanted to claim that because he broke up with her and left and he was done with her, she tried claiming that he wore girls' underpants and had sex with little boys and a bunch of other creepy stuff like that. And literally 2 weeks later, she's trying to, oh, poor me, I need him back. I need him back. I love him. I need him. I'm like, holy shit, you tried to insinuate that he was a cross-dressing pedophile. And then you love him and you want him back. That don't make no sense. For us men, we do need to stick together and work for each other, instead of saying, I got all my own problems to deal with. We all got our own problems to deal with, you're right. And those problems are easier if we work together. We're all on the same sinking ship. Maybe instead of saying, oh, dude, I'm just going to make sure that my gun port doesn't flood, or I'm just going to plug the holes at my station. Well, we're all in this shithole together. We either plug the leaks or we all drown.